Okay, here's the setup for our lab with the reflection of light. And there's a few things going on. I'll kind of explain them briefly. Here's the mirror. And then what you're going to do with your phone with the actual flashlight, when you light it up, is you're going to hold it behind this kind of paper shield that has a slit. And the light then will just come through only this slit and act like a beam of light, which we call a ray. All right. If the protractor is here, you can of course line it up at different angles relative to the mirror, and then you should see it reflect off of the mirror. Just a heads up with this, it's going to be a lot more visible, a lot better if you go into a dark room. So if you can close all of the blinds in your room and get it fairly dark, that's awesome. If not, maybe go into a bathroom. I know that's kind of weird to do a lab in the bathroom, but most bathrooms don't have windows, so that would be a lot darker then, okay? All right, so let me show you a couple things with this real quick. The mirror we've already done, so nothing really with that. First thing, at least, the protractor. It doesn't have to be perfect, but get rid of the transparency sheet that's boxed around. It doesn't have to be right on the black line. I'm a little bit outside, but cut that. The other thing then is on a sheet of paper, basically put your ruler on the edge of the paper and then on the other side strike a straight line. I did my middle part on one of the blue lines. That'll help you out actually with the protractor. But this is going to be where you place your mirror. Alright, so really what you're going to do with this is you're going to first put the transparency sheet down. This black line should be lined up with the straight line you struck, and the middle part should be where the middle part on your protractor is. The reason I like to put the middle on the blue line is because that should actually be 90 degrees over here. So I can actually adjust if I'm a little off. I can adjust and make sure that's on 90 degrees. It should also, this black line should also line up with the straight line as long as you struck it perfectly vertical, which if you put the ruler against the edge of your paper, this should be perfectly vertical, which means it's perfectly perpendicular to the blue line, which is 90 degrees. So the protractor will lay down just like this, and then you'll put the mirror right on top of it. It's very important for the mirror to be lined up the best you can with that line, okay? There's not really a center to the mirror, so it's okay if it's a little offline in terms of up or down, but you don't want it like this or like that. The more you can get it to be perfectly lined up with that mirror line, which is then the straight part of the protractor, the better you'll be. Again, make sure your aluminum foil part here is fairly straight, okay? All right, last part then is you're going to need to take a piece of paper, which I've already done it, but take a fresh sheet of paper, fold it this way, and then you're going to crease it twice like this, okay? This will let it basically stand up on its own. The last thing you want to do then is the side that actually is folded, so the middle, is you're going to take your scissors and you're going to try to cut a millimeter slit, no larger than that. It is going to be very small. You do have to make 2 cuts, okay? The exact height of it, I'm not too picky about. I would make it at least a couple centimeters. If it ends up being like 8, that's perfectly fine. I think though right around 3 or 4 is best. So what you'll do is you'll basically set this down, and the slit will be on the bottom part. And like I said, if you take your phone, or if your phone doesn't have this, you can use your iPad camera, or not camera, excuse me, flashlight. But then you'll be able to hold this through here, and you'll see that it'll create a beam of light, which is pretty nice. Okay, when you go to do the lab, it'll say the first angle you want to be 0 degrees. We actually measure it from the perpendicular, which we call the normal. All right, so when I say 0 degrees, I don't actually mean up here or over here. 0 degrees is 0 degrees from the normal. So the first one that I do, I actually would have to line it up with the 90 degree, the perpendicular, because that's what 0 degrees means. All right, so take your time with this. This is, of course, the most important part, but I would see it come in. And if it were really dark in the room, you could then see the reflected ray. I'll give you a hint. You probably wouldn't even see the reflected ray if it's dark because it actually reflects straight back on the normal, 0 degrees as well. All right, so let's say you go to 15 degrees. So keep in mind, I'm not going to see the number 15 here. It's down here. That's wrong, though. because it's 15 degrees from the normal, which would actually then be either 75 if I'm reading the smaller numbers, or 105. So I'm going to move my sheet and phone over here, and I want to line it up again with 15 degrees from the normal. Things will kind of move around, so I don't know if you want to tape down your protractor, that might be best. All right, but anyway, I'm going to line it up with 15, and like I said, I can't see my reflected ray, so I would probably want to hit all of the lights and make sure it's really dark, okay? Also, it might be worth flipping your phone. Yeah, actually, if I put the flashlight on the bottom part, I can see the ray for a longer period of time. So you might actually see my reflected ray a little bit over here. I can. But anyway, what you'll have to do to actually mark these on your paper is you'll take a dot for the 15 right there, and then you'll put a dot over here for the reflected ray of the 15. All right, you can't really draw the line because the transparency sheet, that's the protractor, is in the way, but if you have a dot here and a dot over there, when you remove everything, all right, I could take those dots and I could basically take my straight edge and say, okay, here is my incident ray that was 15 degrees, and I could draw that coming in. So let me give you an idea. All right. So you could draw an arrow, because that would be the incident ray going towards the mirror. You could write a note like, hey, this is the 15 degree. What you'll also want to do that I didn't show you is you'll also want to do a dashed line, my apologies, to represent the normal, and that should be perfectly 90 degrees. So basically it's saying, okay, this light ray is 15 degrees, and then wherever you put the dot over here, you would then line it up with the mirror and have the ray drawn the other way, because that's then the reflected ray. You're going to do this for 15 degrees, 30, 45, 60, and then 75. Take your time. It should be pretty good results as long as you line this up really nice so there's no rush to it, okay? Good luck, guys.